and she slid the card over. And as we know from the story of the phoenix bird of immortality, is it returns and builds a nest. And there we have it. A nest and feathers. And then in the story of the phoenix, once the nest is built, it erupts into flames. I pulled out the cards and notice what happens. It erupts into flames.
Wow. Phoenix rising.
I can't figure how you would figure out how to figure this out. I kept pulling out the cards, and notice it does not show us random flames. It blossomed. So, just on a metaphoric level, this is showing us, these are the first holographic mandalas. Mandalas in the past have been geometries to hint at wholeness. All of the unique geometries here come from the recapitulation of the one, creation. This is pure Pythagoreanism, but shown as art. And so it tells us that we are an art form, and that we are blossoming. And the difference now is that the fire within us, although it does not seem directional, is actually triggering in all of us the sense of surrendering to the possibility of our own greater beauty. That's when we blossom. We begin to understand, like in the plant kingdom, that nothing is stationary. It goes through seasons. That's why the Maya call the fifth world, which begins very shortly, the time of flowers. Notice all of these are flowers. And they look like Indian headdresses. They look like Indian baskets. And the Hopis say that the knowledge of the sacred DNA is in their basket weave. And this is Shumash ceremonial ground. So what we have growing up is this story that the long and difficult human journey has been to gather this living library of who are we then, so that each of us can understand that you don't enter time, you enter creation. And if you're entered a particular time, you begin to unfold with unique geometries. If you entered another time, you unfold with different geometries. But each are composed of the one, the whole of creation. So it tells us that we are each whole and holy. And as I say, I like that story of being human better. And since this was a type of Noah act on 9/11, meaning let me gather back the stories I want to share with generation, I just had no idea it would become this, it's now showing us that our journey toward ascension, as we recouch our understanding, will reveal this, the wings of vision.
You are a magician, sir.
And as we see the wings of vision, we might ask, well, why are we recouching our understanding? And that's where my favorite point was, when George Bush was working on SOFA, which was the Status of Forces Agreement in Iraq, I was working on SOFA too. And Joseph Campbell clicked something in my mind and went, I get it, it's mythic, it's not adversarial, it's, the conversation is so big, it says, what are you bringing to the table? And I thought, well, we're both recouching our understanding of being human. So then I thought, well, let me go a little deeper, and this I have to unveil. It doesn't stop.
Oh my God. Oh my. Wow.
This is beyond groovy.
And that's so. Stand in the eye. Stand on the cushion. Yeah, stand. So you've got. I need to. Yeah, and why don't you stand there on the other? Because this is really a demonstration. What's being informed? Well, you see, their souls are being informed that some truths are soft, some actually feel good. Some support us with a little bounce. They're not all hard and angular and righteous. And that's when we start to see this beautiful story that says, you see, you are born of love and thought, each given the gift of the apple, your unique mandala, your unique creation. But together, you hold the living waters, so each of you can experience a unique story. But when we look at the masculine and feminine, we start to understand that the masculine separates, and in that separation creates system to reconnect. Whereas the feminine holds the sacred, the I, because she is the holographic truth, the life principle. And therefore, when life is honored, when the life principle is honored, when the sacred is honored, we have lover and beloved. We have the honoring of relationship. And from that, we then follow her, as you can see, back up into creation.
Wow.
Bravo!
And I also have to say, I haven't placed anything. I'd love to say I'm this clever, but it's a story that as it unfolds, just I go, oh. You would find me applauding, going, this is very good, very good. I could not have.
Well, no.
No, it's, and that's why I feel so much about, it's so important, like with what Carla and I are trying to do, in terms of our home. We've had discussion groups here for over 30 years. You know, the sense of community that, because I've always felt as an actor, it's not an interesting piece in theater of exclusion, and they're not part of it, we are. You know, I thought, that's not what we know in the creative arts. We understand ensemble. We want to amplify each other. We want to create enthusiasm, because enthusiasm breaks really the bonds of all of our fear. You know, and that's why I feel like tonight, with what we're looking at, when we start to understand, I love the Sea Shepherdess because I think, you know, both are the reaction of navigating the sense of what stories do we find worthy of our human truth. And therefore some arcs are out in the ocean, some are here, because what we're trying to do is understand that we're here to navigate, not to decide, but to understand this sense of we can together create a more rich and rewarding story. And that's what I love about the feminine here. She says, if you don't like the stories you're telling, tell better stories. All is energy. All are atoms. Each are my children. None do I give permission to brutalize, nor to hurt, because I love them all. I'm the mother. Therefore, figure out how to tell the story that weaves them all together. And who said being human was simple? You know, we're great artists. And if we think of that, maybe we've been gathering this story, then we start to honor the difficulty and say, you know what, and that's why you'll see the tear also here. That this tear is that so much of the sorrows is how do we make sense of the sorrows, not just of our lives and our difficulties, but to start honoring that the ancestors, those who we grow out of, also looked up and said, how do we make it through?